I'm Margaret Ann Windsor, and I'm showing this again. I've had some trouble with the video uploading, but I wanted to tell this as so you know where I'm coming from. If someone's just watching this, I've got several on YouTube. But this is my dad, King Edward VIII, by Frank Salzburg. It's one of the few that you'd ever find. They've changed them all because a double was used to marry Wallace Simpson. This is a double. That's not my father. This is Wallace Simpson, the American spy. And this is who my father was really married to, Claudia Ruth O'Keefe. And this is Georgia O'Keefe, my aunt and my mother's sister, the artist. That's who my father was married to. This is a total lie. That's a total lie. Now then, oh, my father was legally wed to my mom, and this is, if you can get the gravity of it, the cover up, even with me telling it, I found out in '83 my real name, and I've told it, and I can't. Nobody will tell it. Because Rockefellers and Rothschilds, the New World Order, Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, there's the same group, the Freemasons, Trilateral, but they were responsible for my kidnapping. Now then, but it took down the British Empire. In other words, my Uncle George here, who the movie was made of that made him out a hero, The King's Speech. And here is his wife, which is called the Queen Mother, and she's not my mother. I don't even have a picture of my mother. There's plenty of Georgia, but no one even knew that that in history won't record it, that my father was legally wed to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, my mom. It won't record that I was born in '39 and that I'm the legal heir to the British Crown, and that I was kidnapped in '41 and brought to Moulton, Alabama, given the name of a twin. Both twins were dead, killed by their mother. They were illegitimate, and it was a horrifying place. It really was to grow up in. And of course, I was brought from a loving family, my mom and dad anyway. Some of the Windsors didn't like my mom because she was considered a commoner and Catholic, or was Catholic, Irish. But really it's the Rothschilds and Rockefellers, the New World Order. And by the way, this was when George, who became the illegal George the Sixth, my father had an interim government, and he trusted his brother till he could sort things out, and this is what happened to him. His brother helped with the lies and stole the crown, put a 99-year seal on it, and of course I was born, and the cover-up of my birth and my birthright, and my kidnapping. That was my uncle that was known as George the Sixth, and this is Elizabeth, illegal. And this is William, who's Charles' son, illegal. His baby's name, George, after my uncle, who kidnapped me and helped take down my father, sold out the British. And here's the one thing I want to insert, because this is when history really changed. George illegally, because he's illegal, he signed treaties that allowed the United States to put their bases on everything British. Well, when they did that, they took out my father, of course, and installed their own monarch, which is George and then Elizabeth. And then Charles William's father, Elizabeth's son, is they're members of the New World Order, my own family, the Freemasons. Um, and it's, I mean, from what I piece together, and most of what I tell is very true, and I would stand by this. Really, I've read it other places that people should know, but I come about this on my own. The Romanovs, Tsar Nicholas II, his family was murdered, burned, everything in the book done to them. And they were lied about, just like my father was, and me here in this country. And they were beautiful, honest, caring people, and this was what was done to them. The Rothschilds, who are Jewish, the Rockefellers, that whole group helped orchestrate the downfall and the killing and murder of Tsar Nicholas II. By the way, that was really Anastasia that was in Charlottesville, and I end up, she's my cousin, just like she is to Elizabeth. Elizabeth is my first cousin, though I hate to say it, but she is. Um, but Anastasia ends up in Charlottesville, and she died, by the way, when I was driving through there. I just found out about my real name and kidnapping. I was driving through Charlottesville, 84 May, and she was murdered by Blue Ridge Mental Health. Now you get mental health in psychiatry mixed up in all this, and they point fingers at the Germans. This is the Americans and some Jews. They way back, the Rothschilds and Rockefellers. And they certainly were responsible for my kidnapping, and I know they orchestrated the death of Tsar Nicholas, and then, of course, Anastasia here. Um, so this is, I showed Roosevelt was president, 39. They're planning my kidnapping, my uncle. Um, Roosevelt had appointed Joe Kennedy as ambassador during that time, 36 to, I think they kicked him out in 46. But anyway, his son, Joe Kennedy Jr., and JFK flew in. They even wrote a book, JFK did, while England slept or sleeps. But anyway, they had access to their dad. They actually were in when he was ambassador. And they even went before the House of Commons and all this. It was like they had run of everything British. Well, his father, Joe, that was ambassador, certainly helped my uncle and helped the New World Order in my kidnapping. It's my thoughts. I don't know how I was gotten out of there. It's my thoughts. I was put in Moulton, Alabama. There's a Cortland Air Base that was built during that time, and that would be the best bet. I would think that the Kennedys helped it if they were flying in and out at the same time I'm kidnapped. So anyway, I'm going to go from, I want to say this one thing, though. My own uncle, Aunt Elizabeth, and now her, it doesn't show Charles, but Charles and Elizabeth are part of the New World Order. The very people that kidnapped me and they helped kidnap me, at least her father did, and she's maintained the status quo, Elizabeth has, while she's still stealing my money, living off of it, and the Brits' money, and giving everything British away. But the very gall of this woman and her father and her family and some of the Windsors, to know what they did to my father and mother, to know what they've done to me. I'm 75 years old, and every day of my life has been through a living hell. And my sons, Mark and Scott, I don't even know if they're alive. Mark is heir, and then Scott. And yes, I am the legal heir. I wonder if why people think, I don't know, it's very strange. People here in this country do not want to hear it. They don't care. I've been told face to face, when you're down and out and you've been robbed of everything, and I've had really bad things I can't tell on here, and the law won't do anything about it. I had written a book, let me say this real quick, in 77, 78, before I found out about my kidnapping and my real name. I'd worked for doctors,